As y'all can see, we have the Eric V, the stream teach himself here on EMPtv. And with that being said, we're going to get started on our interview. We got a lot of questions that we wanted to go ahead and ask Eric, you know, pick his brain in regards to content creation and everything like that. But before, and I know this is going to be a little weird, right? But before you introduce yourself, can you tell us a little bit about the type of creators that you like on Twitch? What are you coming to Twitch for?
My
boy's booming, damn.
So I was talking about how Twitch isn't about games, it's about people.
Right.
And I always look for the person. I always look for the people more than the gameplay. I look for people who are funny or engaging, and they just like have good energy. But like one of my favorite people is definitely Kiwi on the Sticks. Like she has a great interaction with a chat, but she's also like good at her games.
Right.
Splatoon especially. I'm mostly like mediocre at everything I play. But she's just she's like hilarious, and she's also got great control over her stream. Like the shit that she does. It's just like
a lot to bells and whistles.
Like she's an entertainer.
Right.
But yeah, that's the type of streamer I like to watch. Just you know, again, just more somebody who's talking to their chat, somebody who can just basically be a podcast with maybe a game there. You know what I mean? It's just that for me.
So I wanted to lead in with this question, right? Because I wanted people to realize why you're here right now, right? Why I wanted to have this discussion with you even before they know who you are, right? If they're not familiar with you, I wanted them to realize what it is that you value, right? Because you seem to be very similar to me in that I come for the same reasons, right? I come to Twitch for the same reasons. The personalities are what keeps me here. I'm not necessarily somebody that cares that you're cracked, right? So when I look at creators, I need somebody that's personable, right? Depending on what I'm looking for at the time, I don't necessarily need professional, but I'm the type of person that likes somebody to be professional in the chat, right? You don't always got to be, and professional doesn't mean necessarily like on your P's and Q's, like this is a office or anything. Professional means that you do this, you dedicate to this, right? You put time, energy, and effort into this. You don't just sit down and play Call of Duty, right? Like you said, being an entertainer. Now we're gonna give you a chance here to introduce yourself in your own words, right? But I wanted to introduce the concept of being an entertainer here on Twitch, because that is what I view you as, right? And that's why you're here. So what do you, in your own words, how would you describe yourself, TheeEricV, and who he is on this platform?
In a word, authentic. I'm just myself. Sometimes there will be times when the stream is entertaining, but that's because of the genuineness of what's happening, the genuineness of Twitch. Like you have these, like you might have small moments or whatever, but if somebody's there for 4 hours, they can't be rah. You know what I mean? For 4 hours, it's just like,
right.
It's just organic, and we're just kind of existing. And if it's funny, that's dope. But if it's like hella serious, or you know, some people say like no politics or religion, but sometimes we might talk about politics, we might talk about religion, we might talk about race.
Those things paint our experience.
Exactly. And that's what makes it dope. Like that's what it is for me. Like most of the time I am, you know, quote unquote professional, but I absolutely go with the flow, and I let the stream guide me into where we go. And it's just unpredictable, for better or worse. Last night was definitely worse, but we don't get into that. But yeah, that's just what it is. It's me sitting down having a good time. It's that old school feeling of being on the couch with somebody and just having a conversation with them, and that conversation can go anywhere.
So what I really like about your answer is that you said the word authentic. We harp on that. I harp on that all the time on this channel, right? Authenticity is super important. I got into this with the goal of seeing more people like myself in the gaming space, right? But and when I say seeing more people like myself, people that aren't compromising, right? People that are going to say what they're going to say, right? And they're not terrible people. They're not out here trying to offend people or anything, but they're not afraid to share their opinions. They're confident in how they present their opinions and how long that they've thought about these stances that they take. And if you're confident in that, you have no problem talking about it, right? Which is why, like you say, some people avoid politics, some people avoid religion. I'm in a similar manner here on this channel where we don't avoid those things. We talk about those things because they paint our everyday experiences and what we do. It would be almost inauthentic to sit here and act like things aren't happening around us, like we're just in a vacuum as we're living. That's not what it is. How long have you been on Twitch, right?
Okay, so my Twitch channel is, I think it's about 11 years old if I did like an account age command.
Oh,
so it's been, my Twitch account is older than Twitch, basically. I've got a, I created it when JustinTV was a thing. So like, to answer your question, 11 years, but like to more accurately answer it, I've been active on Twitch for about 2.5 years. Actually, I think we're coming up on 3 years now. I think in August it'll be like active on Twitch for 3 years.
I talk a lot of times in regards to Justin.tv, right? Because I say all the time, I remember when Justin.tv came out, and you're better than me, Eric. Like in my youth, I knew I wanted to do something like, in my youth, like I'm not young. I wanted to do something like this, right? Be a YouTuber, make this stuff happen. I actually had a capture card, and among other things, my parents did it. And then I got into like the video editing software, and it looked crazy. And then I was like, well, who wants to watch me play video games anyway? I don't really want to. I never did it. I never did it. And so now I'm here a year in thinking to myself, well, damn, maybe if I had got it started 11 years ago, this, what it could end up being, right? But I just didn't have a background in it and didn't really have anybody to look to make it easier. Now, is there any sort of background in media production or broadcasting that you have? Anything?
Hell no.
Hell nah. Hell nah.
I think I did the news report thing at like in high school one time, where you read it and you see yourself on it in the morning. Everybody looks at like back at you and shit, like, oh shit, you here, but you on TV. Like, other than that, nah.
How did then you go about getting your resources for content creation, and your knowledge for content creation? How'd you go about it?
The best way, which is inspiration followed by experience, I think.
I like that. Inspiration followed by experience.
Yeah, like you see something, you like, oh, maybe I can do this too. Like, I like what they doing, I want to do something with my own spin. And then you get out there and you fuck up.
And then you're like, I'm not technically able to do that just yet. Yo, that's me so bad. Like, that looks cool. I'm gonna learn how to do that eventually.
Exactly. And it's like you gotta realize when you fuck up too. Like you gotta be able to look at it and be like, okay, that's not great. Because a lot of people, and I was guilty of this back shit, even when I was on Twitch, I would say, but I just didn't care enough to improve certain things. It was just like, it's fine, I'm not gonna try that hard at it. But
so what you're saying is you approached it kind of lax. Like, I mean, I guess this is a hobby, right? But a lot of the people that are successful at this, they don't necessarily approach it as a hobby, right? And we were talking about it almost last night in your stream, something very, very similar to this. When did you get that mindset switch, and how did that come about? Right? Because I'm sorry, I was just gonna say that it sounded to me like you were at one point not as serious about it as you are these days.
I think the shift came once I started using OBS. Once I started adding alerts and then sound commands and like all this different stuff, I started to feel like a real streamer, as opposed to when I first started on Twitch. I was streaming directly off my PS4, directly off of my Xbox, and my cat just walked in. So
Panic make an appearance.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's not Eric here if Panic don't make an appearance.
But I think that's what made it more real. Like I was putting a lot of work into it, and I'm like, oh, I could tell, like, oh, I'm really like giving a shit.
You start putting things in, you start, maybe wanting things out. Once you start putting things in.
Like, it's like, oh, I can do this. And I think more people, became more supportive. It was kind of a cycle. It was just like the more I put in, the more I got out. So we just started to take it seriously. And it's always been something that I've liked to do. There was just a time where I just didn't feel like there was much of a point because I didn't have a lot of a built-in audience. I was starting from zero all over again.
Yep. And that's where I was years back, but I hadn't even taken that step. I had never even taken that step. The fact that you had taken that step and 11 years ago is crazy. Sofa King, look at this man having an outline, professional. We try a little bit. I'm not going to ask somebody to be on my show and then, come in with no plan and nothing like that. You want to just come through, chill, bro? Eric, you want to just come through, just sit here, just bullshit? I mean, we could, but
whatever. I mean, we can do that another day.
Exactly. We got time to bullshit. Let's actually make something happen. Let's create something. Then, so you said you started years ago. You started taking it seriously. I know that years ago you had a different name when you started, right? Mean Mugga 11, right? Now, this is gonna be a bit of a weird question, right? When you first started content creation, who did you think you were gonna be? Who did you think Mean Mugga 11 was? Like, what was like the content that you were gonna make to get on?
It was just gonna be me. It still is to this day. It was just going to be things that I'm interested in. What I'm interested in has shifted from video games and hip hop, which I'm still interested in video games, obviously, but that diminished a lot. And hip hop I still like hip hop, but I'm an old man when it comes to it now. I got nothing to talk about when it comes to hip hop anymore. But that's who I wanted to be on YouTube. The name Mean Mugga 11 was just a gamer tag first. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm the type of person, I like to use the same shit for everything. Like, you'll see that. Like, I didn't choose TheeEricV until I made sure I could get it on every single thing.
Branding
so
Mean
Mugga 11 was a gamer tag that just became the account that I subscribed to YouTube accounts with. And then it became the YouTube account I started to make YouTube videos with. And I didn't really think about like branding and marketing and any of that shit when I started.
What were those YouTube videos? Like, do you know, like, what, like, do you remember what sort of content you were trying to put out?
Yeah, it was just hip hop commentary, hip hop and video games commentary. And when it started out, it was just, they weren't good videos. Not at first. Like, okay, you gotta fuck up. Like, audio was trash, video was trash, content wasn't there. But it was like, I don't know. The whole video would be like, who has the most like recognizable voice in hip hop or some shit like that, and I would throw out a few names or like sometimes I would do ranty videos because I always wanted to leave a room for variety, as I still do now. And I never liked being in a box, I guess, and I guess that's always reflected. But yeah, I just thought that I would be somebody who was me, somebody who was Eric, and talked about shit that he likes. And I'm still that. But the shit that I like has changed.
Okay, see, and that's really what I was getting at, right? I was getting at, how have you changed from Mean Mugga 11 to TheeEricV? But I like your answer in the sense that it's not necessarily that the person is different. The interests are different. The interests have evolved. I really like that because when I started, right, I'm Mr. EMP. And I'm Mr. EMP because I thought I was going to be an Apex streamer, right? Like, I played a whole lot of Apex. I was like, yo, I should start streaming this. Oh, I got this like little dope, little play on words name. I can make this happen, this, that, and the third. And as I started going and as I started doing it, I realized that why limit myself, right? I'm interested, like you say, in so many things. And my interests evolve. Maybe sometimes I'm not necessarily as interested in Apex, right? I didn't want my voice to be tied to one thing, to be tied to Apex if I ever did get a voice that was going to be out there and be heard. And so I think that like EMP from a year ago and what I thought was going to be the case is just vastly different. And I'm just interested in, like, how long that change took in regards to, and like, are you still evolving and changing? And it sounds like you definitely are.